host to this episode of the Cultural Capacity Podcast. I am one of your hosts and teachers here on the podcast, Justine Gonzalez. So let's hop into it. Today's question is, what motivates you into action? It is very timely. It is something I love figuring out about myself every day, as well as studying in other people and understanding how our unique cultural context, as well as our personality structure, really influences our ability to tap into what motivates us. I saw an interesting post on social media the other day that was kind of talking about the chicken or the egg, which comes first. Do you have to be engaged in something that requires an action in order for you to be motivated? Is this good or bad? Of course, everybody weighing in the comments on this person's tweet. And I would be curious to know your thoughts. What motivates you? Just in general, what are some things that motivate you? I would love to hear in the comments. If you are listening on podcast streams like Audible, Amazon Prime, where else? Google, Apple. I said Audible already. Spotify. You can watch the video episodes there as well as our YouTube channel. But wherever you're at, if you can have the ability to comment, I would love to know if you get asked this question, especially in job interviews. How do you usually respond? What does motivate you? And how did you identify those things? So one of the things I want to share about candidly, you hear my co-host Canella. You know, we don't hold back, even if there's doggies barking. So I wanted to take you down a path very briefly of some of my own motivations right now and how I am restructuring my time to match those motivations and passions. I think that many of us, we have pipe dreams for years, as some might call them, and they're things that we're really passionate about. They're things we want to devote our life to, and somehow we still can't seem to give ourselves the permission. At least I struggle with this, the permission to see that as worthy of our time and expansion. I think that's especially hard, obviously, when you need to make an income or you're supporting family. All of these things exist. And today, for today's episode, I'm going to speak as if these things did not exist, because sometimes we put these parameters on ourselves of what's possible, and we cut off an opportunity before we even saw that it was there in the first place and was designed just for us. Sometimes I know that I am guilty of looking at maybe why something won't work before I look at all of the reasons why it might. So I want to encourage you in this episode to consider what motivates you into action. That is the main question we are examining together. I am here examining it with you today, my friends, as we always are with these episodes that are a question. So the book I want to share with you, I was actually just speaking about this in a brand new program that I am developing alongside Dr. Shantae Barnes called Write Your Book. So first, shameless plug, please check out the link if you are a K-12 educator or K through 12 adjacent professional, like a social worker, a school nurse, etc. This first cohort is only for K-12 professionals and K-12 adjacent professionals. That is by design. We are teachers at heart. That is our passion. And we are just excited to be developing this program. But we just got off of some content recordings for inside the program that we were working on together this morning. And I wanted to put that out there because not only is registration officially open, and I think you should check it out if you are a person that is in K-12 education, but secondly, I spoke about one of my inspirations as an author. And I am putting this out there that by 2024, I will be a published children's book author. I am already a published author, have been an op-ed journalist for a number of years for different publications, and my company's been featured in publications as well. And so shout out to our team at Educator Aid here. But I do want to take a moment to also be vulnerable, as I attempt to do on many of these episodes, and model for you that I had to get back to the heart of the matter. So in designing this program, I am walking you all through my own journey, the struggles that I encounter, all of these things, and going through Dr. Barnes's process of developing my manuscript for a children's book. So even if you just want to check out the free webinar, make sure you click below on our YouTube, because we did put our free webinar on copywriting and protecting your work. That is a free learning tool that is on our YouTube channel. But I needed to get back to Mildred Pitts Walter. And this is where it all began. She actually just released this memoir called Something Inside So Strong: Life in Pursuit of Choice, Courage, and Change. This just came out in 2019. And she's an important author to me. She is one of the first authors I read cover to cover multiple times as a child. And one of my favorite books was called The Girl on the Outside. It's about the integration of schools in Little Rock, and also speaks to many of Mildred Pitts Walter's lived experiences growing up in the Jim Crow era of her own childhood. So a lot of this particular memoir is actually the journey of her self-discovery and seeing how so many of her worlds of activism and advocacy and authorship came together for her. And it speaks to my soul. She's always an author that I decided to get back to who really inspires me. How did they design their life? What can I learn from them? And one of the things that stood out to me is not only has she authored 21 books, which include not just the book I mentioned, The Girl on the Outside, one of my personal favorites, but Justin and the Best Biscuits in the World, among many other picture books, young adult, young reader books, all of these. But she's also a lifetime civil rights activist. So there's many, many things I deeply admire about her. And I haven't read every single text she's written. So I think that it's important to put out there, when I'm talking about motivation and what caused me into action, I often need some examples of people who I go back to that I go, that's right. They inspired you then, and they still inspire you now. And sometimes that can be really hard, especially if you're coming out of a rut, especially if you are struggling to identify your purpose. I would encourage you to listen to some of our featured voices episodes. We have some incredible episodes every month. There is going to be a feature on workplace wellness that is hosted typically by Kara Gonzalez Howard, the Vice President of Innovation and Marketing here at Educator Age. She's also my sister, but she's a brilliant, brilliant author herself. But she hosts once a month the Workplace Wellness Spotlight. Once a month, we have a Featured Voices extended episode where you see us interviewing guests from all different sectors, walks of life, professional. We've been a little heavier on K-12 education, especially with coming back to school here in the fall. So you are going to see some authors as well as superintendent for July. It's Dr. Brent Comer. I would strongly encourage you to go back to June's featured voice, which is Agatha Agbanobi. A wonderful, wonderful interview, especially if you are wanting to learn more about diversity, equity, inclusion work, or continue on your journey of anti-racism work, etc. There are so many options to choose from, but 2 episodes every month. They are typically a short format, just like this, where we ask one question. What motivates you into action? I gave you an example for me, what I'm getting back into being motivated by. And for me, it starts with seeing those examples and seeing how they did things. There is nothing new truly under the sun, just your own twist and your own unique lens and perspective upon it. So what do you decide each day when you wake up? What motivates you? Is it really survival mode? And you say, well, I have to do this. I have to do this because I have to take care of these little people, or I have to take care of my husband or my wife, etc. What motivates you? And is that working for you? And my goodness, if we could also figure out some key motivators solely by our personality type. Oh, wait, you can. I do offer some services as well if you want to check those out in the show notes. I do a lot of assets-based executive coaching, specifically around understanding your cultural origin story as well as your personality structure, which includes how we deal with conflict, how we deal with anger, how we deal with motivation, and many other things about us as individual human beings. So I'm excited to continue learning and growing with you all. I appreciate you continuing to subscribe and share. We are now heard and streamed in over 30 countries in the world, and this wouldn't be possible without you all. So all the different resources and assets that I named, please take advantage of. Look in the show notes. Our team is only going to continue putting out more content, more resources, and more, hopefully, just items that help your own personal and professional learning journeys. So until next time, let's continue to get compassionately curious together. I'm so interested to hear. If you feel led, please comment what motivates you into action. And maybe that's different for your personal life versus your professional life. But a lot of this has to do with tapping into our passions. And what I am realizing for myself as I overhaul my calendar, my schedule, and create a very intense writing schedule for myself as an author, for myself as a PhD candidate. These are things that are coming to fruition in my own life, and I will continue to share very openly about, while also taking any tips and tricks from you all that I can get. So remember, sharing is caring. When you share a strategy, it might help somebody else who sees this video. So thanks for tuning in into this episode of the Cultural Capacity Podcast. I'm Justine Gonzalez, and let's continue to get compassionately curious together. Take care.